Hey, aloha everyone. Welcome to module number 4. This is chapter 3. They're kind of in a funny order, but this is really talking about intrapersonal communication. So how we talk to ourselves, specifically the learning outcome related to self-image as the communicator. I've been watching my YouTube analytics and I'm trying to get through this in 8 minutes. Okay, the required stuff. There'll be some bonus minutes, hopefully, for fun. But again, I tried to bold and put an asterisk by each of the 10 terms you might want to write about or talk about in your video or in your discussion forum. Okay, so let's get going. I'll make these quick. I know it's hard. I'm trying to read to you it all. So self-concept, this is who you think you are, basically. You can read that yourself. But self-concept, go straight to who you are. Like for me, for example, my self-concept is I'm a teacher, I'm a husband, I surf, I play music. All these things that you do. And you can go much deeper than that. Self-esteem is kind of what do you think about that? So I put a couple of these graphics here just for you to kind of think about, and this is in the book as well, but very quickly, if your self-concept is, say, you think you're a happy person, or maybe you're having, and we go through stages, right? Maybe you're not having a good time, you're unhappy. The self-esteem really affects how you see yourself, right? So if you have a positive cycle, you can see it there. Like, I know I can do it. You do it. And even if you fail, some of you folks I know, you say like, well, you know what? I really learned from it. And that's a really positive thought. So that kind of increases your self-esteem, right? Makes it more positive. On the flip side, if you have really low self-esteem, like for example, I'll use my example. I used to play golf, and one of my self-concepts was I'm not a good golfer. I don't hit the ball far. I tend to spray it. I slice it if you play golf. And that's always, every time I went golfing, that's what ended up happening. Even if I shot even par or I got a bunch of birdies that did really well, at the end of the day, there was always something better, right? That could be done better. So as a self-concept, I didn't see myself as a good surfer. And you can keep thinking about other parts about your self-concept. Very quickly here, I started adding pictures more and more, but there's one here, biology and the social roots of the self. So who you are. So if you take a psychology course, one thing you'll see is that your personality is related to your biology. So sometimes the energy you're born with, or perhaps your ability to listen or speak, right? That's related to your biology. Also, as you age, and all kinds of things are in there. But for this course, we're going to talk about socialization, because that's communication, right? How do you learn about who you are through communication? So there's three terms here that I think are really important. So number one is reflected appraisal. How do you know if you're good at something or bad at something? If you're watching the Flipgrid videos, so many people are such good speakers, but before you do your Flipgrid videos, you say, "Oh, I'm terrible at this." Blah, blah, blah. How do you know that? Where did you learn that from? What kind of reflected appraisal did you get in the past when you got up there to speak when you're in, I don't know, maybe the 5th grade play, and people kind of looked at you funny? Is that still what you're thinking today? Okay, on the think of positive things as well. How do you know if you're attractive? How do you know if you're smart? How do you know if you're doing well? Compared to what? And that's social comparison, and also reference groups. So you compare yourself to others. If I go surfing and I see a guy of my age just catching the biggest waves, I'm like, wow, I gotta practice my breathing more, something I can't get out. I'm comparing to that person. I'm not comparing myself to like a 7-year-old child, right? So that's the reference group. Who is my reference group? So to be more specific, as a teacher teaching online, right? My reference group could be other speech teachers teaching online. So I'm going to talk to them, find out what they're doing, how are they doing, what are their classes like, and that's going to bounce back to me, my self-concept. Am I doing a good job? Am I doing a bad job? Do I need to step up my game? Okay, so you can think about these things in terms of anything. Okay? You don't have to be personal. You can if you want. As we move along, you can see here. Let me get rid of myself here. Okay. There's no bolded terms here, so I'm going to fly. Characteristics of the self-concept. So number one, self-concept is subjective. So look up these words for college if you don't know them. Subjective or objective, right? Subjective, it's totally up to us, really. Who you think you are, again, is subjective. What does it distort? It could be positive or negative. So I put the Breakfast Club there if you're old enough. Obsolete information. So if I was called a fat kid when I was like, I don't know, up until high school, I still see myself that way when I'm almost 50 years old, despite being in pretty good shape. Because of that old information, I still see it that way, right? Distorted feedback. Maybe I had a really bad day going to a store one day and I yelled at an employee there and I shouldn't have done that. Forevermore, the halo effect they're going to see me, I guess it's kind of distorted, right? But that's how they see you, right? And it could be through a phone. It could be any kind of distortion of that's what people are getting back to you. Perfectionism. We're always striving to be better. In the listening chapter, a lot of folks are saying, I want to be a better listener. I got to get better at it. We'll never be perfect, right? Social expectations, internet media appraisal. Okay, so look at those again. The way who you think you are is absolutely subjective. One thing about yourself is that it's very interesting in that you resist how you think of who you are. Your self-concept, who you think you are, is extremely resistant to change. Okay, so this is called cognitive conservatism. So a few chapters ago, we talked about cognitive complexity, right? Seeing something from multiple perspectives. It's funny when you see yourself, you don't do that. You tend to be very conservative. So if I see myself as, I don't know, not the best athlete when I'm a kid, I'm going to see myself that way forever, right? If I see myself as average or being short or whatever it is, I'm going to stick to that. So that's what cognitive conservatism is here in terms of your self-concept. We're going to stick to what we know about who we are. Okay, you can look through this list. I'm trying to get through 8 minutes here. Embracing a more positive self-image, be realistic, perceptions, expectations, and you got to have the will to change. You got to have the skill to change. The will and the skill. Do you want to do it? And hopefully you're picking up some skills right in here. Here's a bolded term. Communication, the self-fulfilling prophecy. So in a nutshell, this is when you tell yourself something's going to happen and it actually happens. So I put a picture there. I've done this many times, nothing that big, of course, maybe 1/4 that big, or you're paddling for your wave and you just go, I'm going to eat it. I know I'm going to pearl this sucker. Bad things are going to happen. And it happens, right? There's also positive ones, right? Where you get into maybe a class or a training session or something. You know what? This is going to be bad. Hey, this might be kind of good. And it ends up being good. And you can get even specific as when you get into the elevator for your building, you say, as soon as I push that button, the elevator is going to move and it's gone. Or watch, it's going to wait for me. And it happens, right? The profound thing here is that this can be imposed on you by others. Say that again, self-imposed prophecies, and then prophecies imposed on you by others, right? So again, I have a picture of graduation. How many times when we're young, say we're middle school, high school, we don't know what we want to do, but because of others, because of the parents, the kapuna, the ones around us who love us, they tell us, you're doing well, you're a great student, and you're smart, and you're college material, and look, here you are graduating from Windward, right? So this is why maybe it's important to give positive feedback to others. Okay, here's 3 other important terms for this chapter and learning outcome. Again, your self-image as the communicator. I got a picture here. If you know who this is Guy Hoggy, one of the greatest weather people to have ever lived on this earth, part of, I think it's Hawaii News Now, Sunrise Crew, the happiest folks around. Impression management. So what does Guy do? Guy's a real person, right? But he also has a real job. Do you think Guy Hoggy is the same as he is? Look at him in the green screen there in the surf shorts. So funny. But do you think he's the same at work as he is at home, as he is in the water, right? So that's impression management. How does he manage who he is in different circumstances? He must be a very competent communicator. So his perceived self or presenting self. Okay, there's 2 here that are really important. We all do this, right? To an extent, really. Maybe not all of us. Think about that. Presenting self, we'll do the bottom one first. That's Guy Hoggy there, right? There he is on the news. What a happy guy. He knows what's going on. Very competent weathercaster. His perceived self, I see him there. I've seen some of the boards he rides, and I've heard it that he surfs at bowls. He might see himself, as maybe others who know him that vein, as just a ripping surfer. Look at that board, how small it is. He might be just this super, I don't know, hidden just commando of a surfer out there taking bombs when the IPA swell came in and all these things. And that may be how he sees himself, but he's not going to present that live. When he presents, he comes across as, I barely know what surfing is. It's fun. Okay. We're almost at 9 minutes. Here we go. One more. Johari window. Self-disclosure. Okay. So why do you share yourself? Very quickly, there's 4 panes here. Go and look at the book, right? But this is a window of how people know us and how we share. So 1 is the open pane there, and I put Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. That's what you know about yourself and others know about yourself, right? So you put it out there in public. Number 2 is the blind one there. I put the car. We all have a blind spot. Maybe I say my vocal filler is right, or really quick. I didn't know that until a student told me that. Maybe I'm literally going blind on the back of my head. I'll turn my camera on. You guys can look. I don't know that. Maybe I'm a stage hog, as we learned in the last chapter. I don't know that, right? I think I'm a great listener, but I'm always stage hogging. The 3, the hidden window, is what you know, but others don't know. So that's hidden. That's Dear Diary, right? Everyone has that. You can relate to that. That's easy. The last one is number 4, the unknown window. This one's profound. These are things you don't know about yourself and others don't know about you. How can that be? How can that be? Well, I put in case of emergency. That's my best example there I can think of. If you've ever been around any kind of emergency, before it happened, did you know how you would respond? Did you know if you would be the one to call 911 or you'd be the one to provide CPR? Or maybe today you're the one to take pictures and video, right? Did you know that? You didn't know that. And parenting, another one. You don't know what kind of parent you're going to be until you're a parent. That's it. Okay, so that's for the bolded terms. If you want to hang out, give me like, I don't know, 2 minutes, under 9 minutes. YouTube, if you're done, you want to check out here. I've been talking too much. Those should cover all of the bolded terms. Okay, if you want to hang out for a minute or two more, let me go through this. I think this is relevant. Why do you self-disclose, right? So when we talk about this, a lot of folks when you're younger, especially us guys, no, I don't need to share. I'm good. I'm on my own. I'm going to stare at the clouds at recess like my son does. You can do that. However, right, there are benefits to self-disclosure. Catharsis, you can look at the whole list there. Catharsis, this is one we don't think about, but just getting it off your shoulders, right? Sharing something, acknowledging that it happened just to yourself by sharing it out loud. Getting self-disclosing, people reciprocate. It helps you to clarify, validate. It helps to build and maintain relationships. And also, it gives you social influence. We can talk about that later in organizational communication, but by self-disclosing certain things, you can influence things to go a certain way, right? The risks vary quickly. Why do we not want to self-disclose sometimes? Well, one, you might get rejected, right? There's some serious things going on nowadays. It could be about the vaccine, about your gender, about anything. If I self-disclose that, it could be to a partner, it could be to my boss, right? I might be rejected. There's a negative impression of me if I self-disclose something about myself. It could be about, oh, I'm online, I'm really short, or I have this, or I have that. I don't know what it is, but you have a negative impression that people might have of you. It decreases relational satisfaction, right? If you risk sharing something in your relationship that might be, I don't know, might hurt the other person. There you go, hurt the other person. And you might lose influence, right? You can think about it at work nowadays, maybe something with the vaccine, if you share something about that. Either way, you may lose influence with people who believe the other way. Okay, last one here, some guidelines, okay, very quickly, if you're here for fun. So what do you do, right? You want to try this out, be a better communicator, intrapersonal and interpersonal, how you see yourself, self-image. Is the other person important to you, right? If they're important to you, consider self-disclosing, right? The amount and type of disclosure, is it appropriate? Is it something that you should share? Should you share it now? The risk of disclosing reasonable. So if you disclose, what's going to happen, right? Is it worth ending your relationship or your job? Will the effect be constructive? Will it help? That's a major one, right? When you self-disclose something, are you self-disclosing to get it off your chest? Okay, but in some situations, you get it off your chest, catharsis, but is it going to be constructive, right? Is it going to help or is it going to hurt? Is a self-disclosure reciprocated? And does it have to be, right? If you share something, are you expecting something back? And do you have a moral obligation to disclose? And that's a whole nother story, okay? Whew, 2 minutes faster today. If you're still here, thank you for hanging out. Enjoy reading the chapter. Please do. There's so much more in there. And there's a lot more deeper, many deeper discussions in there about what we're talking about this chapter. So thank you for being here. Thank you for the Flipgrids. You folks are doing a great job. And I hope to see you in Zoom or hope to watch your Flipgrid videos and read your discussion forum posts. Okay, have a great module.